Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So here's a real world kind of problem, just to be able to illustrate what an exponent can look like when it's not an integer. And so let's get to it. Again, it's one of those things where I'm like, I think they overly stretched to be able to get it. They just kind of found something that used it and kind of forced it in. But the radius of a sphere is given by the equation r equals quantity 3 times the volume divided by 4 pi in quantity all to the 1/3 power. Yes, that's how you read all that. Where v is the volume of the sphere. Find the radius of the beach ball to the nearest foot. Use 3.14 for pi. Now, a couple of things to look at and realize is we are given that the volume is 113 cubic feet. So we need to be able to substitute that in. We are also given that pi is 3.14. Let's see. What I'm pausing for is I usually wait till the very end to substitute in for pi because that leads to a more accurate answer than doing it earlier. But in order to do this completely, I'm going to go ahead and have to substitute early. I don't like doing it, but that's okay. For what they gave us, what we're going to have to do is our radius is equal to 3 times 113 divided by 4 times 3.14. So now I have nothing but numbers to use. Now I'm not going to worry about that 1/3 yet because remember, order of operations says do everything we can inside of a grouping symbol. If I haven't gone over it in class, and I should, let me be clear. A radical is a grouping symbol. We'll get there in just a minute, but right now we have another grouping symbol that's within a grouping symbol. In other words, I could rewrite this problem because 3 is in the denominator, that's my nth, or my root. And I could rewrite it like this. 3 times 113 divided by 4 times 3.14. I could also rewrite it like this. These mean the same thing. All three of these, 1, 2, 3, mean the exact same thing. But what we have to realize is we need to do what's inside of the grouping symbol first to get it as simple as possible. What that tells me is I need to go ahead and take 3 times 113, which I get 339, divided by, oops, forgot that there, 4 times 3.14, which is 12.56. I got the number written over here, I just had to be able to read it. So now I've simplified what's in the numerator and denominator, but I can still divide that out. Now here they've already done all that. So what I would normally do is take the 339 divided by the 12.56, find out what that is. Ooh, I did that in half. I don't know why. There's my correction. There's a 1/3. Now, my notes include basically what they did. So I don't know exactly what this number is, but I can plug this into a calculator. And what it's going to spit out is about 3. Now it says to the nearest foot. So what I'm going to be looking at is it's 2 point something or 3 point something, and I rounded up or down. Not necessarily down, I just dropped it to make it to the nearest foot. So it's about 3 feet. Now I know it's got to be feet because it's cubic feet, round to the nearest foot. If there's anything else that says foot, I don't see it. So those two things tell me my final answer has to be in feet. And so if you took 339 divided by 12.6, it would give you some number, and then you find the cube root of that number. Now here I wanted to take some extra time to reiterate, because we should have talked about this in class by now, to reiterate when there is a 1, that is your exponent. But what we have to remember is anything, and I'll write it over here, that 1 is a 1 there. There's also, or sorry, I don't write it here because it's understood. That's because everything that you see is to the first power. There's always an invisible 1, just like there's always an invisible 1 for a denominator. There's an invisible 1 for a coefficient when there isn't any other number written. It's one of those invisible math things. The coefficient, or not coefficient, the exponent of 1 is always there. So here, all I did was in the calculator, when I found the answer to this problem, I took it to the first power, then I took it and found the third root of that answer to get 3 feet, or to get 3, and then I labeled it feet.